Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something pretty wild.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you brought us this fascinating material on abandoned video games, the ones, rumored to have dark secrets.
Mm-hmm. The digital ghost stories.
Exactly. We're talking like curse code, whispers of mind control experiments, really disturbing content, maybe even links to real world stuff.
It's a deep rabbit hole for sure.
It really is. So our mission today is basically to explore this creepy landscape, try and figure out, what might be real, what's fiction, or maybe where that line just gets really blurry.
That may be why we find these stories so compelling in the first place.
Right, because they are compelling. We've got stuff here on a few different games, specific legends, so
Yeah, let's unpack it.
sounds good. It's amazing how these things catch on, isn't it? These digital legends, they just spread like wildfire, even without, solid proof.
Totally. And the material you gathered, it spans decades, different corners of the internet. It really shows how these mysteries stick around.
Definitely. So where should we start? We've got to start with the classic, right? The one that kind of kicked it all off. Polybius.
Ah, yes. Polybius, the OG.
So the story goes, this arcade game pops up in Oregon like 1981.
Right, Portland area,
Yeah.
supposedly.
And then poof, gone, vanished almost as quickly as it appeared.
And the alleged effects on players were intense.
Yeah, the reports mention nightmares, seizures, amnesia, all sorts of stuff.
Pretty extreme reactions for playing Asteroids or Pac-Man back then.
You think? And then the kicker, these stories about Men in Black.
Uh-huh. Showing up in suits, collecting data from the machines, or maybe taking the cabinets away entirely. Very X-Files.
Totally. What jumped out at you from the material on this one?
Well, I mean, the material's pretty clear that there's no actual verifiable proof the original cabinet is described to have ever existed. So it's almost certainly an urban legend.
Right, makes sense.
But
Yeah.
the interesting part is what happened later. The afterlife of Polybius, you could say. People started making recreations, fan versions based on the legend. And even with those, there are still these anecdotal reports, people saying they feel dizzy, nauseous, uneasy after playing them.
Huh. So even the copies have this effect.
Well, anecdotally, yeah. Which raises that question, doesn't it? Is it just the power of suggestion?
Yeah.
You expect it to be weird, so it feels weird.
Or could there actually be something in the design, maybe the flashing lights, the patterns that genuinely affect some people?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
The source material had that great analogy.
Oh, the Tetris effect gone rogue. Yeah, I like that.
Exactly. We've all had that, right?
Yeah.
Close your eyes after playing Tetris for hours,
Oh.
and you still see the blocks falling.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So imagine that, but instead of just seeing blocks, it's making you feel physically sick or triggering something worse.
It does make you wonder, even if the original Men in Black story is just folklore, maybe certain visual stuff can mess with people.
It's plausible. Our brains process so much visual data. Maybe certain frequencies or patterns could, overload the system for some folks.
Especially back then with CRT monitors and lower refresh rates, maybe.
Possibly. There's no hard science on the Polybius recreations causing this, but the fact that people keep reporting it, it keeps the mystery going.
It does. That persistence, even with the fan games, it taps into something psychological, doesn't it? Like, the idea is almost as strong as the real thing.
Precisely. Our brains want patterns. They want explanations. A good story, even a spooky one without proof, can really take root.
Okay, so moving on from what's probably a legend, albeit a sticky one, let's get into something with more of a conspiracy theory flavor, the Denver experiment.
Right. This one's dated around 1983, and the rumor connects it directly to, actual CIA mind control projects, MKUltra type stuff.
Yeah. The story is that this game, supposedly an arcade game again, was testing subliminal messages.
And not just any messages, but potentially for training assassins.
I mean, seriously, assassin training via arcade game, that feels bold.
It does stretch plausibility a bit, doesn't it? The CIA certainly did some weird, unethical experiments. That's documented. But a public arcade game for covert training, logistically tricky, you'd think.
Yeah, seems like a security nightmare. The source material had that funny line about it making you want to buy tinfoil hats.
Huh. Yeah. That kind of sums up the vibe. It leans heavily into that paranoia.
But the story gets weirder. Apparently, the original game was so disturbing, the code itself, that they supposedly buried the cabinets, like literally buried them.
Desert burial, the classic trope.
Right. And then fast forward to 2010, a copy supposedly pops up on eBay.
Of course it does.
And the person who bought it claimed their cat started plotting world domination after playing the game.
Okay, now that's just fantastic. You gotta love how these legends evolve and pick up these kinds of humorous modern twists.
It really shows how we just love a good story, right? Even if it's completely bonkers.
Absolutely. And the Denver experiment, it really plugs into those Cold War anxieties, fear of government secrets, hidden control, but applied to this new thing, video games. Made it potent folklore for its time.
Definitely a product of its era. Okay, so we've done urban legends, government conspiracies. Let's go somewhere even darker, the deep web.
Ah, sad Satan.
Yeah. This one surfaced around 2015, found on the deep web. And the descriptions, they're genuinely grim.
They are. We're talking maze-like corridors, distorted sounds, alleged screens.
And the really disturbing bit claims of actual crime scene photos being embedded in the game.
Yeah, potentially real gore, real disturbing imagery, plus the creator. Totally anonymous.
Which just ramps up the creep factor, doesn't it? This feels different from Polybius or Denver. Less folklore, more. Potentially malicious.
I think that's fair. Sad Satan feels more like modern digital horror. It uses the anonymity, the sort of lawless feel of the deep web. If those reports about real crime scene photos are true, it crosses a line into something truly harmful and unethical.
And it didn't stop there, right? The material mentioned other dangers.
Yeah, reports started surfacing that some versions floating around were bundled with malware.
Like viruses and stuff.
Exactly. Malicious software. And possibly even links to illegal content. So beyond just being creepy, it could actually compromise your computer or expose you to really bad stuff.
Okay, that's terrifying. And there was that one specific story, the YouTuber.
Oh, right. The claim that after playing it, their keyboard just started typing HELT me on its own.
Okay, chills. I mean, that sounds like pure horror movie territory.
It does. And whether it actually happened or not, it perfectly captures the dread Sad Satan was designed to create. It plays on our fears about online safety, about what hidden dangers might be lurking out there.
And the malware part makes it tangible, right? Unlike maybe feeling dizzy from Polybius, this could actually mess up your computer, steal your info.
Exactly. It introduces a level of real-world risk that elevates it beyond the psychological unease of the earlier legends. A significant distinction.
Definitely. Okay, let's pull back from the deep web for a minute. Shifting focus to a more mainstream game, but one with its own mystery. House of the Dead.
Specifically House of the Dead. Overkill.
Right. Apparently there was a whole level cut from that game because it was just too disturbing.
Which, for that series, is saying something. Overkill is already deliberately over the top with gore and dark humor.
Exactly. So if they thought it was too much, what was in it?
Well, the rumor, the persistent fan theory, is that it depicted rituals of a real-life cult.
Whoa, okay. That's specific and unsettling.
Very. Now, the developers have flat out denied this. They've said it wasn't the case.
But the fans didn't just let it go.
Nope. Being dedicated fans, some apparently dug into the game's files. Data mining.
And they found something.
According to the material, yeah. They supposedly found hidden audio files, including a specific scream that some fans believe, or claim, matches the audio from a real missing person's case.
Hold on. A real missing person.
Yeah.
That's incredibly dark if true. That takes the cursed game idea somewhere else entirely.
It's a huge claim, and we absolutely have to stress this supposedly and believe there. It's fan speculation based on finding something in the files. There's no official confirmation or forensic proof linking it.
Right. Important caveat. But still, the idea itself is chilling.
It is. It shows that human tendency to find patterns, especially disturbing ones. Material even joked about accidentally summoning demons by putting stuff like that in a game.
Huh. Yeah, a bit of nervous humor there. It does tap into that unease about messing with dark themes, doesn't it? Like, what if?
Exactly. And, the speculation about where this lost level might be.
Yeah.
The material joked maybe it's in a Nintendo vault with the infamous E.T. cartridges.
Buried in the digital desert. It connects back, in a way.
It does. And speaking of ongoing weirdness, that quick mention in your notes about the Twitter user @RetroRaven.
Oh, yeah. Claiming their old Pac-Man cabinet whispers resist after midnight.
See, it just shows these spooky game stories aren't just history. They're still popping up, even with the most familiar classic games.
It's true. That need to find mystery, maybe something a bit uncanny, even in Pac-Man.
And online communities just amplify it, right?
Yeah.
Sharing stories, blurring lines between maybe a weird glitch, a joke, or something genuinely inexplicable.
Definitely. So, okay, wrapping this up, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have. From urban legends like Polybius.
Your alleged government plots with The Denver experiment.
The genuinely disturbing deep web stuff like Sad Satan.
And then controversial content and fan theories like with House of the Dead. It's a whole spectrum of digital darkness.
And looking at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
it's fascinating how these stories kind of mirror our anxieties about technology at different times, isn't it?
How so?
Well, like, Polybius comes from those early days, fears about what these new screens might be doing to us, hidden dangers.
Makes sense.
Denver experiment is pure Cold War paranoia, fear of government control bleeding into entertainment.
Right.
Sad Satan is very much about the anxieties of the modern internet anonymity, hidden threats, real-world horror finding its way online.
And House of the Dead.
That touches on ethical debates about content, shock value, and maybe the responsibility of creators when dealing with really dark themes. Plus, the power of fan communities to keep mysteries alive.
That's a great way to frame it. These games, or the stories about them, they become these sort of containers for our collective fears and curiosities about the digital world.
I think so.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. When you hear these stories, what does it really say about us? About our relationship with technology, the power of rumors, especially now? And why are we so drawn to the idea of something unknown, maybe something sinister, hiding inside our games?
Are they just campfire stories for the digital age? Or do they tap into something deeper, worries about control maybe, the subconscious, all those hidden corners we know exist online but don't fully understand?
Definitely something to chew on. Makes you think twice next time your console makes a weird noise, maybe.
Haha, maybe.